Hi, I'm psycho-degenerate and Jesus hates me because I watch K-On! And to and okay, I was watching K-On! Recently, um, and so I was thinking, like shows like this, they like they can obviously have value and whatnot, but I think that one thing they do, and one reason why this kind of show is a prominent kind of show, um, is because people watch these kinds of shows because they want like friends and shit, and they don't have enough friends in a meaningful capacity, They like and so kind of works as like a band-aid on the problem of people being alienated from each other by modern society. And I don't consider the show K-On! To be especially shallow, but it's but it definitely functions partially as a replacement for friendship and human interaction that will, to some degree, never measure up to really having someone to watch the damn thing with, Ethan. And you can use a show to find friends who are into the same thing, or a show could inspire you to make a change in your life, but I think it primarily just functions as a quick fix, and that's not a bad thing. You need it fixed. Even if it's not going to last, then hey, you got the goddamn job done, But I think that these kinds of shows, you look at these and the cute girl shows, the Yashke shows, the harem shows, all that. I think that the reason why these things are all basically emerged in anime as prominent things at all is probably because in their workplaces and schools, a lot of people are going to be completely cut off from their from meaningful human interaction. And you look at Japan, people, they're working fucking overnight a lot of the times, fucking basically working pretty much non-stop sometimes. They die at their desks from overwork, It ain't pretty. And I haven't experienced that living there firsthand or anything, I would assume that takes its toll. If you're working for hours fucking nonstop, that takes its toll on your ability to have regular human interactions, because you fucking work nonstop sometimes, and then you have to fucking sleep it off and recover from that. And like, depending on how well organized the company is, presumably, you might have to do that every fucking deadline. So I'm sure that, like, in Japan, the modern society probably, like, doing things like this probably takes a toll on them even more than a lot of people in the States. And, like, I know some people who, like, they say they at work, they don't have any conversations they want to have, they just have polite small talk, you know. That's not a meaningful conversation. That's not going to make you, like, fucking happier. You know, that's just what you have to do because it's polite. And because of social norms and shit. And they, you know, you're expected to do that because of the social norms and shit. Like, but it doesn't really benefit anyone, really. It's not a deep kind of conversation. Like, I don't know. I don't really know that many people who have, like, work friends who they actually like. Like, I guess my mom's talking about her work friends and shit, but, I don't know. Like, I guess she doesn't hate them. A lot of the people I know actively hate their work friends. And, like, so because their lives are so hellish in this situation in particular, because they aren't getting enough, like, healthy interaction with other people, is what I expect why these kinds of shows exist, because they want a kind of a more of a, like, fantasy where everything is, like, normal, even if that normal doesn't, like, actually reflect reality. Like, everything is, like, a very simple, like, fucking often, like, kind of romanticized model of, like, school life and shit a lot of the time, or work in these things. Like, it's a very simplified, romanticized version of that, where, without all the problems, or, and shit like that, that you'll see in a lot of these shows. And, like, obviously another factor here is that, like, Japan, like America, is like a first world imperialist country that indulges its population in cheap pleasures to, as a replacement for what they actually need, to keep them suburban and pacified, to give them their, like, circuses, you know. Whereas, I suppose in the third world, they just have a gun pointed at their head. But hey, and, like, if you do shit that's, like, you just, in third world, you know, they just have gun pointed at their head, and if they fucking do jack shit, except for make cheap goods for America, then they get fucked. Like, they don't make money, or they can literally get fucking shot. But that's a bit off topic, I suppose. Like obviously these kinds of shows and these kinds of pleasures, whether they're cheap or maybe they have a little more substance, but ultimately aren't fulfilling on a real level, of at least everything that they're, like, aiming for with this kind of show. Like, Because I think that's probably, like, maybe not consciously, but at least subconsciously an intentional, like, thing about these shows. I think that's very much intentional on some level. But, like, it's not going to totally meet that kind of thing where it replaces, like, social interaction, where it gives you a calm environment when you have none in your life. Like, it'll do that, but it won't actually solve the goddamn problem. Like, you know, another show that I liked a lot that, like, last year, I was obsessed with it when it was airing. I didn't care about any other shows. I was watching a few others, but I didn't really give a fuck about them because I was, like, fucking obsessed with this show while it was airing. It would be Stars on My. Like, these characters carry around, like, these fucking Amazon boxes that have the things in it that they use as a substitute for the human connections they want to form with other people in their lives. I think that these kinds of shows can, to some degree, operate in that capacity. You want a fucking, like, you got some, like, dude in Japan or something who wants the fucking girlfriend, so he watches a fucking harem show or romance show, or fucking watches, or wants, like, fucking friends, so they watch fucking cute girls show, so they can also sexualize it partially, but, like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. And so, like, and this show is very much, like, dealing with people feeling, like, cut off from society and other people, like, by essentially the modern world, by modern Japanese society, specifically in the show, which Penguin Drum had the same fucking themes and shit, but, like, hey, that's, so, but this was, like, a little more explicit about, like, that's what it was dealing with, you know, and, like, like, modern life is hellish, and these things can make your life a little less terrible for a while, and they do, and some of them are very good at that job, but ultimately they aren't going to fucking make you, like, feel real happiness, you know, whereas, like, the thing is, there's no reason that society needs to be this way. Like, you look at fucking Japan, I know, like, when the fucking bubble burst, like, they cut a bunch of the office workers and it had no effect on the economy. They just fucking laid them off and it had basically not much of an effect on the economy. Maybe, like, beyond the bubble had already fucking burst and everything was fucked up, I mean, of course, but, like, it didn't, like, make the economy even worse that all those people got laid off, you know, and a lot of office workers, they aren't doing, like, extremely important jobs. Some of them some of them are doing things that are useful in some capacity, budgeting things and shit like that. But a lot of them, like, and I think that as especially first world countries become more able to produce all the things that they like need to produce, you're going to start seeing more and more jobs that just don't do anything, and some of them will probably be subsidized by the government so that the economy keeps functioning, because they need some unemployment to make the economy function, which is, well, maybe the economy shouldn't function if it requires that, but but I digress. But like they also need, they can't have too much or else it'll break the fucking economy and everything will be screwed up and probably the country will get overthrown. Like, you know. So they need solutions to deal with that, and they might deal with that with fucking UBI or whatever, which is, well, which is not really a solution, but whatever. And they might deal with it by just subsidizing a bunch of industries to create jobs that don't do anything. And I think that's a little more likely to be to be what they do in the future, but maybe I'm off base. I am not a fucking oracle. I cannot predict the future. If someone tells you they can predict the future, they're selling you something. But that would be my educated guess from what I know. But it could be UBI too very easily. I wouldn't be shocked. And it could be there's other ways of dealing with that. Some of which are just not very likely to actually have occurred in the nearby future, or not possible to occur in American politics at all, but because there's a shit ton of solutions to this problem that benefit different people and are built around different reasons for them to be that way. But society doesn't need to be making these kinds of things. It doesn't need to be set up in this way is the thing. You're seeing these, you see a lot of fake of useless jobs now. You see them you see the government subsidizing the dairy industry and then them overproducing more dairy than they can sell. Partially because they're pricing it too high to sell all of it, but that's a different issue. And then they destroy the fucking dairy. But it's still profitable to make it because the government subsidized it. But hey. And then you see them fucking making products, manufacturing products that solve problems that did not exist before advertisers told people that there was a problem that needed to be solved. And people before the advertisements came out didn't care about that thing, but now they do. And you see them making plastic bags that they put apples in, at the grocery store, or bananas. You don't need a plastic bag for a bunch of bananas. They have skin. You can put them directly in your shopping cart. You aren't going to eat the skin anyway, probably. Um, or like apples. You can wash them, you know? But like you see a lot of these products that don't do anything. You see a lot of jobs that just aren't serving any purpose. And like basically functionally, if these jobs went away, the same amount of actually important, significant products that improve people's lives would be the same. So like, you know, people's lives are so meaningless because they are fucking working 8 hours a day or more. Like, their jobs are so fucking empty because they're working 8 hours a day or more. They, like, don't get their needs met by society. And, you know, like, there's just difficulties to interacting with people in general. But if you're working 8 hours a day in an environment where, like, you have to fucking act the right way and all that, and you aren't, like, encouraged to be, like, creative in addressing problems in some work environments, you know, you're going to just end up not being very fulfilled. You aren't going to have very fulfilling job or social interactions, at least for the time that you're at work. And, like, you know, if we get rid of jobs that don't do anything, we get rid of things like that, then we could pay people more, like the same amount, because there's still the same amount of value being produced in society, like, and you can give people more of that value for less work if you don't have the jobs that produce no value in society, except for in, I guess, for the fucking guys who fucking think up how to sell a product that no one fucking wanted before, but now everyone's going to want because they've been told there's a problem. Or some shit like that. Or for some, like, office job that basically just exists to create growth in the economy. And, like, these jobs aren't contributing anything worthwhile to society. So you cut them, you still have all the value, and you can give people more value for doing less work. Like, I think I already said that. But, like, this is, like, economically feasible. It's not going to just happen. Obviously, you don't get major changes in the way the economy runs without there being a push, without there being a lot of effort put into changing how that works. Like, from, like, on the ground, not from, like, fucking Congress who doesn't do shit until people fucking make them. Like, that. If you vote for Bernie Sanders, then you're a loser. I voted for Bernie Sanders twice, and I'm a loser for it. If you endorsed Bernie Sanders, then you're a double loser. But whatever. Like, yeah. Like, this isn't going to happen by itself. Congress isn't going to do it unless people make them. It might not even get done at all unless the fucking government dissolves or something. You know, the U.S. government isn't known for doing a lot of things. Unless it gets, like, unless it stops existing for some reason. which probably isn't happening anytime soon. Like, there's a good chance that some of that won't happen, or unless there's like massive push from people that makes it so that Congress has to do that. But it's like you can't just like, well, the thing about this thing about how this, like, you have people working for hours, and if you have them working less, then suddenly they have more time and more opportunities to, like, foster meaningful interactions with other people in their life. They have more time to get friends and whatnot, more time to, like, have meaningful relationships with people. And they can't do that if all they're doing is, like, fucking working miserable jobs for fucking 8 hours or more. And like, I think that if that happened, you'd get less people fucking watching every fucking harem show, or fucking watching every cute girls show or whatever. If I try watching a harem show, I usually stop watching it in 5 minutes. But some people, like, watch, like, a fucking shit ton of those. They'll watch, like, fucking hours and hours of it, and, like, if those people had more opportunities to, like, have more meaningful social interactions in their life, they probably wouldn't do that, at least not as much. They might watch, like, some of their favorite ones or something, or shows that they're really, like, driven to watch, but you won't see people fucking seeking that out nearly as much if they have fulfilling lives with fulfilling social interaction, where they feel like they have a fulfilling role in society. Then you won't see people, like, watching fucking animes like that nonstop. You won't see people, like, doing those kinds of things where they watch this or that bullshit nonstop because they feel like shit all the time, and they feel a little less like shit if they watch that. You won't see people fucking binging Netflix shows because they feel so fucking unfulfilled in their lives, because they have, like, shitty work schedules. So they just watch, like, their fucking shows all at once in one big binge session every, like, fucking week or whatever. Like, they just spend the whole fucking weekend watching TV, or they spend all night watching TV even, and then go to work again after that. These kinds of things won't happen nearly as much, like, with people having unhealthy habits with viewing this kind of stuff, if they are able to have meaningful, fulfilling connections in their lives.